They say rock bottom is where you find out who you really are. I found mine in a homeless shelter bathroom at 3 in the morning, staring at a positive pregnancy test while my 2-year-old slept on a cot that smelled like bleach and broken dreams. My husband had abandoned us 6 months earlier, walked out while I was at work, and took everything that mattered. The savings, the furniture, even the goddamn coffee maker. The eviction notice came 2 weeks after that. And now, clutching that plastic stick with 2 pink lines, I was pregnant, homeless, and drowning in a terror so complete I couldn't breathe. I had $23 in my pocket. $23 between my children and the street. An accounting degree gathering dust because childcare cost more than any entry-level job would pay. And a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Surrender to the system that had already failed me, or claw my way out with my bare hands. That night, watching my baby sleep under a donated blanket, I made a promise so fierce it burned. I would build an empire. Not for revenge, not for pride, for survival. Because the alternative was watching my children suffer, and I would die before I let that happen. I took 3 jobs. Cleaned corporate offices at midnight while my kids slept in break rooms, their little bodies curled on chairs I'd pushed together. Delivered food during lunch hours, my newborn strapped to my chest while I ran between cars. Freelanced bookkeeping on library computers, teaching myself advanced Excel while my toddler colored quietly beside me. 18-hour days, every single day. No weekends, no breaks, no mercy. People looked at me with pity in their eyes. The struggling single mom, the welfare case, the charity project. I smiled and said thank you, while rage burned in my chest. While they pitied me, I was studying. Every successful business I cleaned for became my textbook. Every executive who ignored me became my motivation. I was invisible to them. That was my advantage. 3 years of hell later, I'd saved $11,000, living in a basement apartment where mold grew on the walls and cockroaches scattered when I turned on lights, feeding my kids pasta and canned vegetables 6 nights a week while I ate their leftovers. But I had capital, real capital. I bought my first property at a tax auction, a condemned building everyone said was worthless, a money pit, a disaster waiting to happen. I spent 6 months renovating it with my own 2 hands. YouTube taught me plumbing at 2 a.m. My 5-year-old handed me tools while I rewired electrical. My 3-year-old swept up debris. We were a team, a family, an army of 3 against the world. When we flipped that building for $42,000 profit, I didn't celebrate. I bought 2 more properties the next week. Hunger doesn't rest. Neither did I. 5 properties became 15. 15 became 40. I hired single mothers first, women with fire in their eyes and desperation in their hearts. Women who understood that failure wasn't an option because children were watching. My competitors called my company a charity case, said I was too soft, too emotional, that a bleeding heart couldn't build an empire. They whispered that I'd crash and burn within a year. I let them whisper, let them underestimate me. By year 5, I'd acquired my first commercial building, the same glass tower where I used to clean toilets at 2 a.m. while security guards watched me with suspicion. My office is on the top floor now, corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows. And sometimes, late at night, I go down to those same bathrooms I used to scrub, and I remember. I remember every insult, every dismissal, every person who looked through me like I didn't exist. That memory keeps me sharp. Real estate became investment firms. Investment firms became venture capital. I wasn't just buying buildings anymore. I was buying companies, funding startups, backing entrepreneurs the old boys club would never touch, women with brilliant ideas and no connections, minorities with revolutionary concepts and no capital, people like me, people who'd been told no so many times they stopped hearing it. Every person who'd ever looked at me with pity became fuel for my fire. Every landlord who'd rejected my rental application, every employer who'd said I wasn't worth the risk, every person who'd stepped over me on the street when I had nowhere to go, they all became ghosts I was running from. Except I wasn't running anymore. I was hunting. Forbes called last month. They're putting me on their cover. Net worth $1.2 billion. From homeless shelter to billionaire in exactly 10 years. They want to know my secret, my strategy, my 5-step plan for success. The truth? There is no secret, no magic formula. Just a woman who was so terrified of her children going hungry again that failure stopped being a possibility. Success wasn't a dream. It was survival. And I'm very good at surviving. Yesterday, my phone buzzed with a message. From him. My ex-husband. The coward who abandoned his pregnant wife and toddler son because things got hard. He saw the Forbes article, wants to reconnect. Says leaving was the biggest mistake of his life, that he always knew I had potential, that he always believed in me. I read that message 3 times, let the rage wash over me like a wave. Then I blocked his number and deleted the conversation. Some people are there when you're building the foundation. Some show up when the penthouse is finished. Now I know the difference. Now I know what loyalty actually looks like. And it doesn't look like him. Last week, I went back to that homeless shelter. Not as the broken woman who left 10 years ago, but as a donor writing a check with more zeros than I can believe. I'm funding a comprehensive childcare program so mothers can work without choosing between their babies and survival. Job training, housing assistance, legal aid, education grants. Everything I needed and nobody gave me. The woman at the front desk didn't recognize me. I was just another rich lady in designer clothes writing a check to ease her conscience. But I recognized her. She checked me in that first night when I had nothing. She'd handed me those scratchy sheets and said, "It gets better, honey. I promise it gets better." She was right. It got better. But only because I made it better. Only because I refused to let the world break me. People love these stories. Rags to riches, homeless to Forbes. Underdog makes good. They think it's inspiring. Maybe it is. But here's what they don't tell you in the motivational speeches and the Instagram posts. Success doesn't heal the trauma. I still wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, checking my bank account to make sure the money is real. I still panic when my kids are 5 minutes late coming home. I still feel my chest tighten when I see homeless families on the street. The money didn't erase those memories. It didn't fill the holes that poverty carved into my soul. It just proved I survived them, that I'm stronger than the thing that tried to destroy me. My son is 17 now. My daughter is 15. They don't remember the shelter. Don't remember the nights I cried silently in the bathroom so they wouldn't hear. Don't remember eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row because that's all we could afford. They think this life, that penthouse overlooking Central Park, the cars, the private schools, the vacations, is normal. They've never known hunger, never known fear, never felt the shame of accepting charity from strangers. And that's exactly what I wanted. I broke the cycle, shattered it. My children will never know what it's like to be afraid of an eviction notice, to choose between electricity and groceries, to feel invisible while the world walks past like you don't exist. I gave them safety. I gave them possibility. I gave them a future I had to build with my bare hands. So when people ask me how I did it, how I built a billion-dollar empire from nothing, I tell them the truth they don't want to hear. I didn't do it for success. I didn't do it for money. I didn't even do it for revenge against everyone who counted me out, though that part was sweet. I did it because 2 little boys needed their mother to be strong enough to carry them through hell. And somewhere between the fear and the fighting, somewhere between the desperation and the determination, I became the woman I needed to be all along, not despite the struggle, because of it. The struggle made me. The poverty forged me. The homelessness taught me that comfort is a luxury and survival is a skill. They say adversity builds character. I say it builds empires, but only if you're hungry enough to fight and stubborn enough to refuse to die. I was both. I am both. And now I'm living proof that rock bottom isn't where your story ends. It's where your empire begins. 10 years from homeless to billionaire, from invisible to unstoppable, from victor to victor. And I'm just getting started. Because the woman who survived that shelter bathroom doesn't know how to quit. She only knows how to win. And she's hungry for more.